Welcome back to Life Unlimited. I'm your host, Nora Oliver. Today, we're diving into the topic that's not just transforming lives, but also breaking barriers in healthcare. We're talking about the world of pelvic floor physical therapy, a field that's empowering countless individuals, but isn't talked about nearly enough. And who better to guide us than today's incredible guest, Dr. Stefanie, a powerhouse in the field of physical therapy, an expert in pelvic health. She didn't just start a business, she built a thriving practice from the ground up, pushing through challenges, breaking stigmas, and making a real impact. But let's be real. Starting a business, especially in a specialized medical field, isn't easy. There are obstacles, moments of doubt, and those should I give up thoughts. And yet, Stefanie didn't just push through, she's now thriving. So today, we're pulling back to the curtain and uncover what sparked her passion for pelvic health. How did she overcome the hurdles of launching her practice? And what kept her going when things got tough? This episode is all about resilience, purpose, and the power of believing in your vision. Get ready for an inspiring conversation that just might change the way you think about healthcare, entrepreneurship, and pushing through challenges. I would like to introduce you Dr. Stefanie DePaul, who is a doctor of physical therapy. Stefanie is an orthopedic, sports, and pelvic floor physical therapist. She is functional dry needling certified and certified strength and conditioning specialist. Also, she's a registered yoga teacher. She owns a physical therapy practice in Stoneham, Massachusetts called Boston Health and Wellness. Stefanie has completed 15 marathons all over the world, and 6 of them being the world marathon majors. Stefanie is happily married to her husband, James, and loves being a mother to 3 sons, Sam, Christian, and David. She also has 2 King Charles dogs that she brings to work for emotional support for her patients. Welcome, Stefanie.
Thank you.
So, Stefanie, what inspired you to pursue the career in physical therapy?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here, Nora. So physical therapy has always been my dream, right? So I was a gymnast growing up as a little girl, and I watched a lot of my friends get injured. So I knew I wanted to work with the human body. I knew I wanted to help people. I wanted to be a doctor of some kind, and I didn't know which kind. And then I went to UMass Amherst for my undergraduate degree, and then I found physical therapy after my undergraduate studies, and then I went to Northeastern University for my doctorate in physical therapy, and essentially I just wanted to help people. I wanted to help people feel better, and if they were injured, get better as well.
That's amazing. So can you walk us through a moment you decided to start your own business?
Yeah.
Like what motivated to take that leap?
Sure. So I worked for somebody else at one point. As we come out of school, it's hard to just start your own practice right away.
It is, absolutely.
So you really should work for someone else for 3 to 5 years, learn about the field, learn how to be a physical therapist before diving into being an entrepreneur, because it is not easy.
It's not.
So I was working full-time for a larger company, and then I decided I wanted to do in-home concierge PT. So I
That's
started...
awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I started Boston Health and Wellness. I went to my business attorney's house and I said, I want to start a business. And she went online and she said, what do you want to call it? And I was like, ooh, Boston Health and Wellness. And it was available. So we got the name, we got
Great
the domain.
timing.
It was very cool. And then I just did it on the side as my side project while working full time still. And then eventually I said, you know what, I'm ready to take this full time. I was doing concierge full time, just going to people's homes for in-home physical therapy, personal training. And then eventually I said, you know what, I think I'm ready to start my own brick and mortar. And I want to actually get a physical location. So I got a house with my husband during COVID. It was COVID, the whole world was shut down. And so I said, let me start the business out of our house in our extra bedroom, build my caseload in Stoneham, and then eventually I'll find a location in Stoneham or a nearby town and we'll actually open a practice. And that's exactly what we did. So now we own Boston Health and Wellness in Stoneham, Massachusetts. It's a large facility with a full staff, and it's great. It's thriving.
It's great setup for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I use your services myself,
Yes.
which is incredible, and I've had great experience from everyone there.
Wonderful.
So can you tell me, what was the biggest challenge you faced when you started the business?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many. I could pick so many. But starting a business is not easy, and you need the right team of advisors behind you. So you need an attorney, you need an accountant, you need a financial advisor, and you need people to turn to when you don't know the right answer, because you're the business owner. Everything comes back to you. So, and that's a lot of stress, right? There's a lot of weight on your shoulders, even when it's just you working for yourself, but eventually you're going to hire employees maybe, and then you need the right team of people and advisors. You need an advisory board, basically. Would be my best advice for someone starting a business. But it's there's so many challenges in the beginning, getting it off the ground, getting referrals, building a caseload, getting the right equipment, building it up. So it was challenging to get it going. It started with just me. I was the front desk person. I was the PT. I was the help. And now
basically, you wear in every single hat.
I wore
that
a lot of hats in the beginning.
Yep.
So yeah, that's tough wearing so many hats. But so that's probably the biggest challenge, is having to be every role, but having the right advisors and eventually being able to hire employees is very helpful.
That's awesome. That's great. And you know, I think having your type of background, it helped you. It must have helped you a lot in this industry, right? Especially being a marathon runner.
Yeah.
I mean, 15 was it?
Yes, yeah. So being an athlete myself is helpful when I'm treating athletes, right? So I get a lot of runners because they see that I have that on my resume. 15 marathons, 6 of them are the World Marathon Majors, which is a lot of people's goal, is to run those big 6. And I have done it. I did it. I finished Tokyo in 2019, right before COVID happened. So I actually got it all in before all that went down, which was great. One of my big accomplishments for sure. But yeah, being a yoga teacher, I use that in my practice. Dry needling I use in my practice. So I have all these certifications that are really helpful. I'm a pelvic floor specialist, which we'll talk about at some point. So I pull from all of these different certifications and life experiences to form my practice with my patients.
That's incredible, and I feel thrilled and excited that I get to sit next to you.
Yeah, well,
right, and talk
feeling
about
is
this.
mutual.
I love all that experience you have. I'm learning from you, so that's great. I'm curious, how did you find your first client? Like, what did you even do or think about? How did you go out there?
Yeah, so by working for somebody else, you do create a following where people, they see you at that location, but people want to stick with you usually. So some people followed me, but I've created a caseload, right? So I have a following of patients that will always come back to me. So the first patient was working for somebody else, but then I had my first private client, and I still to this day have that same private client that is now my patient at my current office. For multiple reasons, I've seen this person. In my defense, she's gotten better, but she continues to come back. So once you get people coming through the door. So
relationships and being out there. So you started with your social media. Is that how you started building, or were you going at events, or what was it that you started with?
Yeah, I definitely use social media for sure. I have a YouTube channel. It's Boston Health and Wellness. I have an Instagram, I have a Facebook. My husband is great at marketing, and he does the Google ads for my business.
Family work.
Yes, he helps me a lot with my business and getting out there and getting my face and my name out there. But yeah, you have to get yourself on the internet, right? You need to be out there. You need to have a solid website, and then you need to be driving to your business,
Well, let people know that this is what you do. This is your experience, your expertise, and the difference you can really offer in helping others.
Right, and we have over 400 five-star Google reviews. So when people come to see me, they say, I found you on Google, and they say, I read all your reviews, and I had to come here.
Wow, in just a few years, you have that many. That's a lot.
4.5 years we've been.
That's awesome.
Yeah, November 1st, 2020, we opened our door. So it's been, a little over 4.5 years. And in that time, we've have over 400 reviews.
Wow, that's amazing. So you started the business just before COVID or around that time?
Yeah, November 1st, 2020 was the...
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So it must have been a bit challenging to run a business.
Of course, yeah.
During that time, because nobody was going out.
Yeah, so that was another one of the big challenges in the beginning, right? It was COVID. So we started with tables that were 5 feet apart minimum. We had the signs on the floor that say must stand 5 feet apart. I don't know if you remember that from 2020.
Oh, I do.
Everybody was
Yes.
in masks. We only had 6 tables in the beginning. Now I believe we have 17 tables in the location.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's hard to run a business when you have all those restrictions.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I
So
know.
did you ever have a moment, which I'm sure I've had those moments, but did you ever have a moment where you just felt like giving up? Like this was too much?
So any entrepreneur would not be an entrepreneur if they didn't have that feeling frequently. Otherwise, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. So yes, I have that feeling frequently. But would I do it? No. And I'm still here today, and the business is still thriving.
But what do you do when you get to that moment? What's helped you to not give up?
Yep, it's reaching out to advisors for help, professional, I always go to the professional in that field, right? Because I'm a PT. So if you tried to tell me how to fix your shoulder, I would laugh at you, right? Same thing goes the other way. Like, I need a financial advisor to advise me on my finances. I need an attorney if I have a legal question, right? So I always turn to my advisors, and I also always talk it out with my husband. I have the most supportive husband, and he's
amazing.
very
That helps a lot.
Yeah, with my decision making for the business. So having the right people to talk to, choose from. I have a great office manager who's wonderful, who I'm talking to all day long. So she brings it from me to the clinic if I'm not there. So just having the right people in place to help advise me.
The right support system.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
I think that's how
great.
I get through the I want to give up moments.
I'm ready to give up. This is too much. Or you can't figure things out.
But I'm also driven by my family. I look at my kids every day, and I'm doing this for them.
You're setting an example too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to give up. What am I teaching my children?
Yeah, and I truly love my patients, and I love my job. So like I would
see
never
it.
give
I
up
see the
on
way
them.
they look up to you, right?
Thank
Every
you.
time I've come to your your office, they're all over. Like, they can't wait to talk to you.
I know.
So
that's
exciting.
We have the best patients. And
That's incredible.
I'm doing it
Are you
for
saying
them.
that for me?
Yes. Well, you are. Yes. Yeah. I'm doing it for them too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how did you handle setbacks, whether financial, professional, or anything in your business journey? Like, what have you done to help you with it?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely lots of setbacks. And right when you think something's going well, a fire's lit. And then you put that one out. And then you're like, oh, I got that fire put out. And then another one lights. And then you have to put that one out. So there's always, right when you're humming along, chugging along, you're like, oh, everything's going really well right now.
A roadblock.
Something always happens. I mean, because it's a business. It's a small business. And I'm not a large corporation, right? So you have to say, okay, this is bad. And then you have to say, okay, I'm not going to freak out. I'm going to break it into pieces, and then we're going to go through it one by one. And that's sort of how I handle chaos or a setback, because if you just freak out all the time, you're not going to fix the problem, and nobody's going to trust you to be their leader, right? So I have to say it out loud. Okay, this is bad. How do we fix this? Let's break it into pieces.
Right, focus on the solution versus the problem itself, right?
Yeah, and that's sort of how I manage and deal with everything and keep it together.
Yes, I know. And many people think that it is very easy to run a business, or that if you do run a business, you're rich, you're doing nothing, you're sitting at home, you're on vacations.
Yeah, I wish.
But I think every business owner, it doesn't matter how small or large, they will tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. You're actually putting in a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Mentally, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right? It's a big load.
Yeah.
So you really have to be ready for it. You have to know the ins and outs of what do you do when you have those setbacks?
Yeah, well, so I started this business before I had my 2 youngest children. So I have a stepson, Sam, who's 16, and then I have a 3-year-old named Christian, and I have a 1-year-old named David. And so I started the business 4.5 years ago, and then I started Boston Health and Wellness as a concierge business even prior to that in 2014. So, I didn't have children yet. So things were a little bit easier to time manage, and now that I have kids, it's a little more challenging because I have this like mom guilt that I always want to be home, and then when I'm home, I feel like I'm taking away from the office, and when I'm at the office, I feel like I'm taking away from being home. So I struggle with that, but no, you're not rich. I'm like we're doing okay.
Well, it's a whole new balance for you.
Yeah,
right?
and I didn't have all these expenses for babies and diapers, and so my whole life has changed while starting this business. So that was another barrier or another challenge. Because I didn't have kids when I started this journey, and it was all about me and my husband. And
you could actually focus 100% on the business itself.
Yeah,
you could network, you could do all
my
those different
stepson was
groups.
older and didn't need me as much. But now I have 2 babies that completely rely on me.
They need a lot of your attention.
So no, I'm not just sitting at home eating in bonbons. I'm working from the computer. Building the business, growing the business, getting us out there, doing events like this with you, trying to drive traffic into the business so my staff has patients on their schedule, so they can, so they have patients too. So it's not just me getting patients for myself now, it's even harder because I have to fill their schedules too.
Right, of course, right, because you have that responsibility as well. I think you have a lot of
there's 5 PT doctors.
That's a lot. And then you have a lot of other staff too.
Yeah, and then I'm the 6th PT. And then I have a bunch of front desk support staff. I have office managers. I have physical therapy aides that work there. So there's 20 human employees and
that's a lot to manage
two
when
dog
you think about
employees.
It, right? That's more than having children because they have benefits and things happen. Somebody calls sick and then you have to cover those patients.
Correct.
I mean, there's a lot that goes in being a business owner. I know the ins and outs of some of the issues that can happen. So
yes,
I applaud you for working so hard and getting on top.
Thank you.
Really thriving. That's great. So you mentioned, can we talk a little bit about your support systems? Right?
Sure.
You mentioned a little bit about it. You've got financial support, you have the attorneys, you have your staff, family support. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how does that really work for you? How is it helping you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, my biggest support is definitely my husband. He's the greatest, and without him, I wouldn't be as put together and calm every day. So he grounds me. So it's definitely James.
That's
it
a huge
starts
help.
with. And then it would go to the professional advisors and help, and then it would go to my office managers. So I have an office manager, Teresa, and then I have 2 clinic directors right now at the office that can run operations so the office runs smoothly without me. And then I have a nanny also who runs the house without me.
Right.
My mother-in-law helps some days. My mom comes to visit on the weekend. So I really have this village of people in office.
It does take a village to run a business and raise kids, and
then advisors,
that saying is true.
Right, that are via phone, but helpful. So that's really my support. And my stepson also helps around the house and works at the business, at the family business too.
Yes, I met him once.
So it's we're all in this together. So it's very helpful.
That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
So,
and then I have great friends too that support my business, and they come as a patient, and so thank you if you're my friend and you support my small business. Yeah, I have great support.
That's good. So what advice would you give someone looking to start their own business?
Yeah, I would say make sure you have the right people in place and do your research before opening the front door, because once it's open, it's hard to shut it. But have the right support system, I would say. Make sure your family
like you said
ready,
earlier, work for someone first to really ensure this is what you want to do, right?
Yes.
Maybe for a few months, a year.
Yeah.
And once you have an idea, but you know what you want to do, but also
you should
it helps to see how they're running their business.
Correct. Work in the field first for someone else, so you learn what to do, what not to do. So then when you do it yourself with your own money, you're making the right educated decisions.
Exactly. I like that advice. That's great. So what's next for you? Any projects or special something?
I mean, Nora, I'm always up to something. If you know me,
I would be surprised if you're
not. I'm always doing the next thing, which I've slowed that down a bit lately now that I have 2 kids. Previous Stefanie is literally always doing 10 things at the same time. Now I try to do one. I'm always working on one project, always. So I did make an invention. So I have a physical therapy ball. Yes. Oh, I actually have one right here.
Yes.
So this is the blossoming tulip. So it's a ball that you can use to release tight muscles all over your body. You can release your shoulder, you can release your hips, your IT band, your glutes, and then if you have pelvic floor tightness, which we will be talking about. I
actually used that ball.
Yes, you can actually sit on top of the ball and breathe for 2 to 3 minutes while sitting on it, and it will open up and relax your pelvic floor.
Okay. We haven't talked about this yet, but I actually used it at your practice.
Great, I love it.
I was some pain, and it was more like cramps.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it. I'm like, hey, I'm getting these cramps in this area, and
well, there wasn't a product out there. There was like one other thing that was out there, but it was really expensive, and it just didn't. I ordered it, it didn't work right, and I was like, how do I help people release tight muscles? It doesn't necessarily have to be your pelvic floor. It could be your glute. It could be any tight muscle where you can lean against the ball. People use lacrosse balls and they're too hard.
Too hard,
like too much. They
You
end up hurting themselves more.
Yes, yeah.
Foam rollers are huge. You can't like bring that anywhere. This is like you can pump it up and then like put it in your bag. You can take it in your luggage and take it anywhere, and it's like a really cute ball.
I know, and I love the color.
Thank
it's
you.
my favorite.
It's my favorite color too. So yeah, I invented the blossoming tulip. You can buy it on our website, bostonhealthwellness.com. On the top right, you can shop our products, and you can buy it.
But you sell them at your practice as well.
We do, yeah.
Right? Yes, that's probably easier. Anyone that lives locally.
Anyone local, but if you aren't local, you can get it online. So
I speak highly of that because it helped me instantly with my cramps.
Yeah. So this is my latest project in my spare time. Was I invented a PT product that can be for pelvic floor or for orthopedics, for any part of your body that's tight.
Congrats on that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Big applause. Now, where can viewers find you and your services, or how can they reach out to you?
Sure, yeah. So you can go on our website, bostonhealthwellness.com. There's a button on the top right that says request an appointment, and you fill out your intake right there from your computer or your smartphone. Name, date of birth, everything, insurance. We take all insurances at our office, which is great. And then it goes right to my front desk, and you should get a call the same day, within the hour probably, to become a patient. Or you can email me, so I'm sure you'll give all my information. You can go on my YouTube channel if you want to get to me. It's Boston Health and Wellness. But yeah, I know.
That's awesome. And all that information is on your website as well?
Yes.
That's incredible. Yeah. Well, Stefanie, thank you so much for sharing all this information.
Thank you.
And hopefully this information helps many people out there looking to start a business or, doesn't matter what field it is, but, really get all this insight that it's not easy, it takes some work, but if you really put the work in, it can be, something so great, this great lifestyle that you always wanted. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Nora.